أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Ahlul Bayt TV and the third in a 10-part series called The Ark of Salvation. This is a series of discussions that we are conducting with our esteemed Islamic scholar Dr. Mustafa Qazwini, who today inshallah will be discussing speakers and preachers who of course preach and disseminate the message of Islam, particularly during these blessed days leading up to the 10th of Ashura, inshallah. Let's start by first and foremost welcoming our blessed guest to the studio, Dr. Mustafa Qazwini. Assalamu alaikum.
My honor. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you very much. As I mentioned, inshallah, today, hopefully we want to gain some knowledge from you with regards to the speakers and the preachers. Could we start by maybe discussing the significance and the importance of the minbar, the pulpit, in this particular regard?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidina wa Mawlana رسول الله وأهل بيته الأطهار وعلى الإمام أبي عبد الله الحسين عليه أفضل الصلاة والسلام, and also salam to you and to my brothers and sisters. The minbar or the pulpit of Imam Hussein has been playing a very, very significant role in educating the masses and bringing awareness. And according to many analysts, scholars, it was the minbar of Imam Hussein who not only kept Imam Hussein and Ahlul Bayt alive, but also the Holy Quran and Islam in general. Because it's almost the sole source of speaking the truth. Truth has been hijacked by governments, by political powers, by corrupt sultans and monarchs, and through their medium, through their radios, TVs, press, books, even Friday prayers, pulpits, they directed Islam into their own benefit, to uphold their own position in government. Nobody dared to tell the people what happened, except the minbar al-Hussein. Especially the pulpit of Imam Hussein, the majalis of Imam Hussein. Because when they mention what happened to Imam Hussein and by whom it happened and why he revolted, the tyrants, they start to shake. They don't want to hear this. The tyrants, they don't want to hear someone advocating justice or truth. They want for people to just be submissive, to praise the Sultan, and to leave him alone. Let him enjoy his own life. So this minbar played from an ancient time until now a major role in awakening the masses. And as I said previously, I personally met many people who crossed the aisle. They came into Ahlul Bayt school, and they told me that it was the message of Imam Hussein. I was listening to one of the lectures of Ashura by this gentleman, this professor, this speaker, and it triggered my mind. Really? I know about Imam Hussein, I know about his name, he is part of the family, but I never knew what happened to him. I never knew that Muslims who murdered Imam Hussein, not invaders coming from the Roman Empire or the Chinese or the Indian. Muslims. So that triggered them to go and research, and they found the truth. And then they took it from Hussein up to his father. So it's not only Hussein, his mother was killed too. Oh, his father was murdered, his grandfather, his children. So they started researching, and then they found the truth. So the pulpit really plays a major role in unfolding the Islamic history to the masses. I remember Hajj Abd al Rauf. Back in 1991, 24 years ago. I used to live here in London before I moved to the United States. There was a radio at that time, not far from this location, Brent Cross. The studios were in Brent Cross, not far from here. That radio's name was Spectrum Radio. The British government made this radio available to the minorities. So 2 hours will be for the Indian people, 2 hours for the Arabic-speaking people, 2 hours for the Persian-speaking, 2 hours for Armenians. They hire it, they rent the airwaves. So there was an Arabic program from 10 p.m. until midnight, 2 hours per night. At that time, there were no satellite TVs, no Al Jazeera, Arabia, Al Arabiya, or Mayadeen, or none of these existed. People would, this is 24 years ago, people will depend on radios. They would listen to radios. So I had a series on Ashura, 10 minutes only, not 11 minutes, 10 concise minutes, 10 series from the first day of Ashura until the last. 10 minutes per night on Imam Hussein. So I was just introducing Imam Hussein because you don't have much time. You barely can say who Hussein was, that's it. By the time you want to go into details, the time is over. So I had to be very concise. So I decided the best thing is to say simple things, just to introduce Imam Hussein. After we finished 10 nights, at that time there were no cell phones. I don't know how old were you, but I was, in my 30s or late 20s. The radio station, someone called the radio station, he said, please give me the telephone number of Sayed Qazwini. And it was my home number, no cell phone at that time. One day somebody called me, hello, are you Sayed Qazwini? I said, yes. He said, I am, he was a general in the Egyptian army. He said, I am living here in exile in Britain for the last 40 years, whatever, long period of time. He said, imagine I'm from Cairo, and we have the shrine of Imam Hussein in Cairo, the mosque of Imam Hussein. But I have never, during the last 70 years of my life, I have never heard that Hussein was murdered by Bani Umayyah, by Yazid, the son of Muawiyah. Until I was by accident, listening to the radio, and you mentioned this. And this is, wow, this is great. This is something new to me. Imagine someone who's a Muslim. We are not talking about a British or Canadian or American. Someone who lives in the heart of the Muslim world in Cairo, and they have a mosque, named after Imam Hussein, and they never know what happened to Hussein. Some people think that Hussein died in an accident or natural death. They hear for the first time that Hussein was murdered by someone who says, I'm a Muslim caliph, I represent the Prophet. And eventually he accepted, Shia Islam, and he said in his will, when I die, I want Sayyid to come and do my funeral. I want to die according to the school of Ahl al-Bayt. This is 24 years ago. So this is an example I'm giving you, that the mimbar, whether it's through airwaves, television, small session, it has an impact. It has a role of awakening people, and this role has been continuous, and alhamdulillah is really increasing. Hajj Abd al Rauf, do you know that I live in America? We have 50 states, and we have hundreds of cities. Every single year, during the season of Ashura, there are new majalis who did not exist before in these cities. They call us, they say, Sayyid, we need a speaker, sometimes in English, sometimes in Spanish. Some areas where they speak Spanish, sometimes Urdu, Farsi, Arabic. The number is really, alhamdulillah, increasing. And this is not the work of a government. Someone is spending money. Nobody is spending money. Believe me, this is the work of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. A gift for Imam Hussein, because Hussein gave everything for Allah. Definitely Allah will give him everything.
Inshallah. So what about the actual speakers that ascend the pulpit? What in your opinion, is their role? What is their, do they have, other than giving a lecture, hopefully an enjoyable lecture, hopefully an educational lecture, a transformative lecture, is there any more responsibility that you feel is upon your shoulders and the other speakers out there?
I think a preacher, any preacher of Islam, whether he's a scholar, non-scholar, anyone who wants to deliver something about Islam to others, has to be a living example, himself or herself. Before they speak with their mouth and their tongue, they have to speak with their behavior, with their manners. Because people distinguish. We cannot have two different personalities. One on the pulpit, I am muqaddas and holy, and I speak about family values and moral values and honesty and truth. And then I have a different personality when I am at home, when I'm in the market, when I'm in the street. That does not work. This is a failing mission. This is a mission, a strategy of those who are failures. Failures. They produce nothing. فَأَمَّا الزَّبَدُ, the Holy Quran says, فَأَمَّا الزَّبَدُ, the foam that surfaces upon the ocean, you see it from the airplane, forms. فَيَذْهَبُ جُفَاءً, it will dissipate immediately. وَأَمَّا مَا يَنْفَعُ النَّاسِ فَيَمْكُثُ فِي الْأَرْضِ, the genuine product remains there, and it is going to grow. So we have, I always say that the preachers, the khatibs, have the most difficult and challenging and critical profession and mission in this life. Because when you are a doctor, engineer, scientist, professor, whatever, you make a mistake, people say, Hajj Abd al Rauf made a mistake. People say, Mustafa Qazwini made this mistake. But when you are a preacher, people say, this is Islam. Look how Islam is bad. You know, again, I was in France recently, meeting with the French native people in the heart of France. 30 individuals accepted Islam. They are not from North Africa. They are native French. They told me something which is, it makes all of us unhappy. They said that many Muslims in France, they give very bad image about Islam. Bad image about Islam. They make the French people hate Islam, stay away from Islam. So we have a big responsibility. If I say I represent Imam Hussein, I am Khatib Husseini, then I really have to dedicate myself for Imam Hussein and his mission. I have to really represent Imam Hussein. I have to be a good ambassador for Imam Hussein. You know, ambassadors, they give them a training. They tell them, listen, you want to be ambassador? You have to be a good ambassador. So we have to give you training, vigorous training, because we need someone to represent our country very well, exceptionally well. But sometimes when it comes to Imam Hussein and Ahlul Bayt and Islam, we have bad representatives. We have bad ambassadors. And this is not only counterproductive, this is damaging. Because people would not say, Fulan is bad. People say, then this means the mimbar is bad. I'm not going to go to the mosque. I met someone the other day in Los Angeles, and he said to me, I said to him, are you Muslim? He said, yeah, I'm Muslim, but I don't go to a mosque. I said, why? You have more than 120 mosques in greater Los Angeles area. There must be someone close to you. He said, I know there are many close to me. I hate going to the mosque. I said, why? He said, because the imam of this mosque is a corrupt person, a bad person. I don't believe in him. Why should I go to the mosque? See? Now, I am not saying he's right or wrong. I really don't know about that imam. But I say when the imam, the preacher, the khatib does something bad, people would not say Mustafa is bad. I wish people say Mustafa is bad. People will say the mosque is bad. I'm not going to go to the mosque. Islam is a bad religion. This is why we have a very, very, very difficult mission in this life. Either we really represent Imam Hussein and his message properly and accurately, with honesty, to be a living example of a servant. You know, in Arab countries, they call the Khatib Khadim al-Hussein. Khadim, servant. We have to really be Khadim. What does it mean to be a Khadim? Khadim, when you tell him, bring me a cup of coffee, yes, sir. Shut the door, yes, sir. Clean this room, yes, sir. He would not argue with you. He would not fight with you. He's submissive. We have to be submissive to Imam Hussein. What does Imam Hussein want from me now? Does he want to pay him his rent or his car's payment? Imam Hussein, all what he's asking me is to convey my message in a good way, in a nice way, in an authentic way. Practice what you preach. The problem with Muslims, the Quran said this 1400 years ago, when the people were around the Prophet Muhammad during his time, the time of the Prophet. لِمَ تَقُولُونَ مَا لَا تَفْعَلُونَ كَبُرَ مَقْتًا عِنْدَ اللَّهِ أَن تَقُولُوا مَا لَا تَفْعَلُونَ. It's repugnant with God. God is furious that when He sees you, you don't practice what you preach. So I put it in a simple sentence. Practice what you preach first on the minbar. On the minbar, you hear wonderful things, very capturing, very mesmerizing. But we have to practice it. So you can get through, the message can get through. Otherwise, the message would reach a deadlock. It would never get through. We have a saying, ما يخرج من اللسان لا يتعدى الآذان. What comes from only the tongue would not go beyond the ears. وما يخرج من القلب, when it comes from the heart, it penetrates hearts. It goes to the hearts. This is exactly what the preachers, the scholars, the khatibs, the speakers, the servants of Imam Hussein should do.
Inshallah. And also, I wanted to ask you about the speakers, and of course, inshallah, you're educating us and inshallah speakers as well about, is there compatibility? Is there a common thread between, I guess, the intentions, the sincerity of the speakers, and of course the aims and objectives of Imam Hussein alayhi salam?
Absolutely, absolutely. The mission of this, of the speaker or the preacher or the khatib has to be 100% compatibility with the spirit of Imam Hussein. I'll give you an example. Imam Hussein, when he decided to revolt, many asked him that if you need a position, definitely Yazid will be more than happy to make you the governor of Medina, governor of Hijaz, governor of Iraq, whatever, Kufa. You just choose and he will be more than happy. He said, no, I'm not about position. I'm not about government. If you need land, he can give you unlimited space. Ranches, homes, properties, land, farms, money, gold, silver. He said, I'm not about this. I have all these things. I have the gold, the silver, the land. I am seeking truth and justice. I have to fight falsehood and corruption. إني لم أخرج أشرا ولا بطرا ولا ظالما ولا مفسدا. I had no intention of being a ruler, to dominate. I'm not power thirsty. I'm not running after fame or to be a celebrity. People would celebrate me. I'm not about this. I am خرجت لطلب الإصلاح. Reforms. This religion is dying. This religion is terrible. I have to reform this religion. This is my objective. So he was not about money. Then I have to say to myself, Mustafa, you represent Imam Hussein. You are the spokesperson. You consider yourself, when I say I am Khatib Husseini, I dedicate myself to the pulpit of Imam Hussein, means I'm speaking on his behalf. What is my intention of doing the majalis? Money? Sometimes people will give you a gift. It's okay. Take the gift. The Prophet, the Imams would accept the gift. It's okay. But I should not commercialize the majalis, meaning I should not deal with them as a business, as a trade. Yeah, I speak here because they give me more than there. This is what some people do, unfortunately, although very small minority, but even this small minority should not exist. We'd love to see all the preachers, all of them, with no exception, to be authentic, to be sincere and dedicated. So we should not deal with the mission of Imam Hussein as a business. I'm making a living out of it. I'm surviving on this. My livelihood is... Imam Hussein says, listen, you work for me. When you work for him, you are definitely working for Allah. We will take care of you. Don't worry about your children, their future. We will take care of you. But don't put this as a goal, as a priority. Don't put money or monetary gain or any type of worldly profits as a priority or even as a goal. We will take care of you. The hadith says, hadith Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, طالب الفقه تكفل الله تعالى برزقه. Student of Sharia fiqh who is learning, Allah says, listen, have you seen some companies in corporations that give grants? They say, we give you scholarship, grant, you go study, do your PhD, we give you the money. Don't worry. God says, I'll give you the money. The grant is from me. Your scholarship from me. Go after fiqh, put yourself there, throw yourself there, dedicate your time. Don't worry about your rent. Don't worry about your kids, they remain hungry. We would not let that happen. Sometimes, of course, you go through hardships. This is part of a test. Prophet Muhammad sometimes would, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, would be hungry. Ahlul Bayt, وَيُطْعِمُونَ الطَّعَامَ عَلَى حُبِّهِ مِسْكِينًا وَيَتِيمًا وَأَسِيرًا. They went hungry for 3. Part of the test. This is not punishment. So definitely they have to be compatible with the spirit of Imam Hussein. Again, another thing that Imam Hussein, when you follow him, you find it very visible in him. He was not arrogant. وَلَا ظَالِمًا وَلَا مُفْسِدًا. He was humble, very humble. So those who are his ambassadors have to be humble.
Inshallah. So if a speaker should not, as you say, commercialize the minbar, of course we can understand the logic behind that, but a couple of things that I've thought about over the years, and one of them is, I remember speaking to some scholars who wear turbans. It wasn't a complaint, it was just maybe expressing some of their experiences. And that was, for example, the masses don't necessarily appreciate them enough with regards to the gift. Now, they gave an example of traveling from London to Birmingham and back, and were given a hadiyah of £25. So you've got, on the one hand, one should not ask, one should just receive, and whatever they receive, be grateful for. And of course, they're doing it fi sabilillah. But the reality is they have to live. And also, I remember speaking to somebody else who was another scholar who had never, ever asked in his life, but is actually contemplating changing the way in which he operates. In other words, requesting a minimal amount of money so that at least his costs are covered. And second point, very quickly before we end, is if we do not commercialize the minbar, of course we understand that, but if there isn't at least a minimal amount of money that speakers like your good self are given when you go, then won't we be compromising the quality of the speakers we have? In other words, if people are always struggling, maybe having to work, we know scholars, for example, are having to be minicab drivers because they need to live. Won't this compromise the quality of their lectures if they aren't able to research and continually improve themselves?
Let me tell you something, Hajj Abd al Rauf. If we speak about practical things and being pragmatic about them, then some say I have to sign a contract and I would never compromise, the amount they give me. It's vital for my survival, and I have to sign a contract, right from the means of transportation, the 3 meals a day, the services they provide, the amount of money they give. We discuss this thing. And there are some people who believe in this and they are doing it. When it comes to me, and as we grow. Sometimes we are young, but once we start growing, then we learn. We learn things that we did not know about them by experience. The more we live, the more we gain experience. I would not even do that because I know even if some people do not compensate me for the majlis, Imam Hussein himself is going to compensate me from somewhere else that never crossed my mind. And I have experience in this field. And I always say to my children and my loved ones, listen, even if they don't give you money, don't worry, because they forget, but Imam Hussein and Allah do not forget. I believe that Allah will compensate. Because this mission of Imam Hussein, it's not like any other mission. It's different. Yes, if you are having a different profession, a teacher, let's say, professor at university, driver, ask for your full right. Ask. But when you work for a higher goal, the Quran says, قُلْ لَا أَسْأَلُكُمْ عَلَيْهِ أَجْرًا. I don't ask. What does it mean? Do I want to starve? No, I don't want to starve. I have a family. It means that God is going to compensate me. Allah said to all the prophets, and this is what they said to their communities, we are not here to make money. God is taking care of us. And I think this sentence is not just for the prophets, for those who follow the prophets, because the muballigh, my dear Hajj Abd al Rauf, the muballigh, al-ulama'u warathatul anbiya. They are the heirs to the prophets and messengers. So in the same sense that God took care of the prophets and messengers, financially, physically, He will do the same. He will do, yes, I agree with you 100%. We experience some difficulties. Sometimes even they don't cover the expenses of your transportation in this incident. But in other incidents, God will send you وَيَرْزُقْهُ مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا يَحْتَسِبْ. We will sustain him from ways and places that never crossed his mind. And I'm telling you, this happened to me. I am here an example in front of you. For the last 25 years, I've been doing majalis. For the last 28 years. And sometimes, nothing. Shukran, Maulana. May God bless you. You did a great job. So I leave. I got this from my father. My father said, never become upset because you are dealing with Hussein. The majlis was the majlis of Imam Hussein. So ask Imam Hussein, don't ask those. Subhanallah, after a period of time, I receive a gift from someone that I don't even know. Wallahi, sometimes I don't even know his name. His name. And I know this is compensation for that. This is how we have to train the young generation. This is a spiritual mission, moral mission. This is different from any other mission in this life.
Inshallah. Thank you very much indeed. There you have it, the third in our 10-part series from Dr. Mustafa Qazwini discussing speakers and preachers. Inshallah, next time we'll be continuing this discussion looking at rising speakers, of course dealing with the English language primarily, and looking at institutions to maybe further the development of speakers, inshallah. Until then, we'll see you soon. Assalamu alaikum.